Hi guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how I made this jumpsuit. It's very comfortable and very easy to make. If you'd want to make one for yourself, please keep watching. So to begin, I'm going to mark a starting line, and this starting line is going to serve as my waistline. Afterwards, I'll get my crotch line and I'm adding 3 inches to my crotch measurement. So mine is 11.5 plus 3 inches, so I'll mark down 14.5. I'll repeat the same thing on the other side and then I'll connect my points. The next thing I'll do is take the full length of my trouser, and the pattern is not enough, so I'm just going to write down the extra measurement I would add when cutting my fabric. Now on my crotch line, I'm going to insert my hip measurement. That's the circumference of my hip divided by 4 is 11.5, and I'm just going to add 4.5 inches. So that's going to give me 16. So I'm going to mark down 16 and I'll put the same figure on my waistline. So whatever your hip measurement is, add 4.5 to it. I'll connect these points together. At the bottom of the trouser, I'll also put down 16. Moving on, I'm going to put down my crotch extension, and to get that figure, I divided my hip by 20. I'll go up by 1 inch and I'll create my crotch curve. After that, the next thing I'll do is connect the crotch extension to the bottom of the trouser. And that is literally all for the front part of the trouser. So I'll just cut this out now. Now to draft the back pattern, I'll take a fresh piece of paper and lay the front pattern on top, and at the very top I'll leave about 1 inch. The first thing I'll do is extend the crotch line. For the back crotch extension, I'll extend the line by 2 inches. And from the 2-inch point, I'll come down by 0.7 inch. Now I'll trace the edge of the front pattern, and remember we left a 1 inch space on top. I'll connect this edge to this other edge here to create my new waistline for the back. Now following the front crotch curve, I'm going to trace it out and create my back crotch curve. Now just like the front, I'm going to mark down 16 inches here and I'll connect that to my crotch line. And that's all for the back pattern. I'll go ahead and cut this out. I've cut out my pattern on my fabric and this is the front piece. The first thing I'll do is gather the waistline. After gathering, this is what it looks like. The next thing I'm going to do is place this right sides together and I'm going to stitch the crotch area. Going to do the same thing for the back piece. I'll stitch the crotch area and stop halfway and leave the other half open for zip, and then I'll gather the waist. The first thing I'll do is get a starting line, and this line will serve as my shoulder line. Now I'm going to mark my chest line, bust line, under bust line, waistline and half an inch for joining allowance. I'll repeat the same thing on this side and connect the points. On the shoulder line, I'll mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2, and I'll put the same figure on my chest line and I'll connect. I'll come down by 1 inch on this line, and for my neck width I'll use 3.5 inches, and then I'll connect the points together. Now I'll find the center of this line, and on my chest line I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4, and then I'll create my arm curve. On the waistline I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4, and on the under bust line I'll mark my under bust circumference divided by 4. I'll take my nip to nip measurement and put that figure all the way and connect. Now I'll mark half an inch on both sides to create my dart. And after doing that, this 1 inch I took, I'm going to return it back. On the bust point, I'll come down by 1 inch, and using my French curve, I'm going to connect the points together. On the bust point here, I'll go up by 1 inch, and on this line here, I'm going to go up by 1.5 inches. Then from that point, I'm going to mark half an inch on both sides, and after doing that, I'll connect it to the bust point. Now I'm going to connect this neck width to 1 inch above the bust point. But this part depends on you. If you don't want it so open, you can go as high as you want. And if you want it more open, you can go as low as you want. The next thing I'm going to do is determine how wide I want my straps to be, and I'm using 3 inches. I'll add my sewing allowance of 1 inch and I'll connect. Now to create my new arm curve, I'll come down from the chest line by 1 inch, and then I'll connect these 2 points together. Now for the back pattern, I'll mark a starting line, and this will be my chest line instead of the shoulder line. So just like the front where I used 8 inches for my chest line, I'm going to place 8 inches on this starting line here, and from that point I'll mark my waistline and add half an inch for joining allowance. I'll repeat the same thing on the other side and connect. Now I'm going to mark 1 inch for my zip allowance. On the waistline here, I'm going to mark my waist circumference divided by 4, and on the chest line, I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. I'll go ahead and mark my nip to nip measurement and connect the points. Now I'll mark 1/2 inch on both sides to create my dart. Now I'll return the 1 inch dart back to the side measurement. Now the next thing I'm going to do is lower the center back because I don't want the back piece to be too high. And also, if you remember from the front pattern, on the side here we came down by 1 inch, so I'm also going to come down by 1 inch on the side. So since I came down 1 inch here, I'll also come down 1 inch here so I can get my new chest line. This is my new chest line, and I don't want my back to be straight, I want it slanted. So from this point here, I'm going to come down by 1 inch and I'm going to connect that to the other side. After doing that, I'll add 1/2 inch for sewing allowance. Okay, now I've cut out my pattern on my fabric, and the first thing I'm going to do is join the 2 sides to the center front. And after doing that, I'll also join the sides of the back piece to the center. After sewing them together, this is what it will look like. The next thing I'm going to do is take my front pants and I'm going to join it to the top, and I'll do this by facing them right sides together, and I'm going to stitch along the side. This is the back piece. I have the back trouser and the back top, and just like the front, I'm going to face it right sides together and I'm going to stitch along the waist. So after attaching the pants to the top, this is what it's looking like now. The next thing I'm going to do is flip this right sides together and I'm going to stitch along the sides. After attaching the sides, this is what it looks like. The next thing I'll do is sew the crotch area. Now I'm going to bias my armhole and the neckline. After the bias, I'll go ahead and insert my zip. Now I'm going to measure what I have here so I can cut out my straps. I've gone ahead to cut out my straps using that measurement. So the width of my strap is 3 inches and I'm going to place it like this and stitch along the side. And when I'm done, this is what it's going to look like. And yeah, I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side. After that is done, here's the final look. Simple, stylish, and very comfortable. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave your questions in the comments. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.